Hello and welcome to another Luna2 analysis. Just want to catch up on this coin. It hasn't really moved too much since my last update. However, there are a few developments on the chart, especially in the short term, I'd like to talk about. Discussed the possibility in the last video about the beginning being a wave 1, that we then came down in a 2, and then now that we're moving up in a 3. Alternatively, you could argue that because the beginning here started basically at 198 and we dropped below that we should really start the count here at this low, which we could do as well. It wouldn't change anything in the short term. We would just say, all right, possibly we would then have to start that entire count here and would say, okay, this was then a wave 1, 2, this is another 1, 2, and we would also be though in a wave 3, to be honest. So let's say this was then a wave 1, this here was the wave 2, and we're also in a wave 3. It wouldn't change a lot, and then the 4, 5 here. And this obviously, what we've seen here is just one 1-2 pattern within the wave 3. So it doesn't change a lot in the short term, if that makes sense. Discuss the possibility that this could be if we look at this from a bullish point of view, this could have been a wave 1 and we're coming down in a wave 2 correction at the moment. So basically, if we look at it from a short-term point of view, we could say, okay, 1, doing a 2 now, there'll be a 3, 4, 5 within the 3, okay? So if we are in a wave 2, let's go to the 1-hour chart. So how to label this correction then? I think this is important. So we wanted to just take a look at that. So if we say, all right, from the top here, we moved down in a wave A. This was then a wave B in 3 waves. And we've been coming down in. And this is now where it's getting interesting. So the first thing that I look at is this long decline. That is usually typical for a wave 3. And a long sideways move is usually typical for a wave 4. Again, I said in the previous video, take a Luna2 to analyze with such a short price history is really challenging. Doesn't really give a lot of reliability from an Elliott Wave point of view. But overall, yeah, my take on this would be that we've done a wave 1 down here, that this here was a 2, this was a 3, this currently is a 4, and that there will be another 5 to the downside to finish off a wave C. I mean, yeah, you can count it as complete 5-wave move, but it's just untypical that a 5th wave would come down that strongly. It is very typical for wave 3, and then usually in a wave 4 you get this sideways movement, okay? So therefore I'd be looking in this wave C at another move down. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, possibly 4 finished here, and then the 5 down. Important would be that in a 5, we ideally do not drop below the 78.6% fib level. And that 78.6% fib level is here the $2.10 level. I think I highlighted in the previous video. It's already marked on the chart. Yeah, I mean, if we drop below it, we could do it for a short period of time. But at the latest, then at the 88.7% fib level, that bullish scenario is getting very, very unlikely, and it is getting much more likely that we will see new lows below $1.50. It's just that this 78.6 level is one of the most relevant chart levels, together with the 61.8, especially for a wave 2 correction, which this overall is, okay? If we look at it from a bullish point of view. So I think there will be one more leg down based on this, yeah, especially because after this wave 3, what I have labeled as the wave, I mean, as I said, I could label it as a 5, but then we haven't really seen the impulsive price action yet. We have seen a lot of overlaps. That makes rather a corrective wave pattern, especially as A, B, C. It's a very clear 3-wave move at the moment. Now that would change if we see a 5th wave. I have to be very honest with you. If we see a 5th wave up, then we could count this as a possible diagonal pattern. But for that, we would need to break above $3.50. That would make a more bullish impression here. At the latest, if we move above the $3.82 level, then we cut into the wave 1 range, and then then we need to look at this from a more bullish, imminently bullish point of view, where we'll say, okay, we probably don't see another low. okay, in a wave 5. But yeah, if we measure the length of the wave 1, it's quite a long wave 1. So, and then the wave 4 from here. Yeah, you know, we could say an ideal target would be 186 for the wave 5. That's the 1-to-1 ratio. So it is above the 88.7% fib level, which is good. It's not above the 78.6. Now, I don't necessarily insist on the 78.6 level because the wave 3 came down already quite close to it. So it's actually fairly likely that the wave 5 would break below the $2.11 level. But it nevertheless is a very important support level. So it could hold very well. Yeah, all the wave 5 needs to do is to go a little bit below the wave 3, which it would if it goes below the $2.18 level, because this was the low of the wave 3. Now, when all these 5 waves are complete, we would expect ideally a wave 3 to the upside. First target would be the $7.60 level. That is the previous wave 1 high, if we label it like that. Yeah. Again, there's different ways of labeling it. But overall, I think I mentioned the target in the previous video. If we say, okay, we had here our wave 1, depending on how low we go, let's say we go down to the $2.11 level, then yeah, the wave 3 would be around $28 actually. That's the 1.618 extension. The first target, which is sort of more conservative, would be the $10.50 level, the 1-to-1 ratio. So in the very short term, what can we do? We can identify, first of all, a trend line here that is quite relevant. So to break above that is the first signal we're actually going up. And then, as I said, this $3.50 level. And after that, the 380 level would give a good indication that wave 4 actually is something more bullish. Okay. If we look at the retracements actually, you can see that the wave 4 already retraced to the 61.8 level. Now it was only briefly, so the 50% level here played an important role as well. Normally it's already a little bit too much for the wave 4, but then again it's a lower market cap coin, so I wouldn't necessarily insist on it. Important is that the wave 4 doesn't cut into the wave 1. So you can see that this, you can actually see we have that descending trend line. That's the first signal if we break that. And can we identify some kind of a channel here? Probably rather not. Don't really want to try that. So yeah, I think especially if here the previous swing low drops, so below 295, I think then we're coming down to 264, and would then also come down to that wave 3 low as a retest, and then possibly coming down to the $2.11 level. And overall, the indicators, let me just, so looking at the 1 hour chart doesn't really give us, I mean, on the 1 hour chart we are heading down here with a MACD. The moment not a bullish signal, so we're on our way for a bearish crossover. The RSI also dropped below the 50 level now, so it is showing rather downside pressure, at least on the 1 hour chart. Now the 4 hour is already losing bullish momentum here, so this is now also heading rather to the downside. It's not confirmed yet, but we have here the current 4 hour bar shows decline in bullish momentum, and also the RSI is heading down. If we see a bearish crossover, that could fuel some more selling. And also we had that bearish crossover anyway on the daily MACD and the daily RSI. I think we talked about that in the previous video anyway. Go back to the 4 hour chart, adding the EMA ribbon. So see, I think we are still below that. I think we talked about that in the previous video, discussing that the EMA ribbon obviously provides some resistance from above, which you can see here. There was a short signal here. I think that was after my last video that short signal came up here on the EMA ribbon. And we have not managed to break above it, really. So this is providing some resistance in terms of historical volume. And we're currently just sort of in an area where there has been a lot of trade historically, which is I think all of this at the moment. So there's a bit of a volume spike. You can see that if we drop below that 260 level, which is the imminent support, there is massive support around that $2.10 level that I mentioned. So it will be hard to go below that actually. That is the 78.6% fib level and the the historical volume is spiking here, so there will be a lot of support if we come down into that region. And should we really go up above the 350 level, I think the next area of resistance will be here, the 420 range. I think I mentioned that in the previous video. And then if we go higher around 630, and then obviously all those swing highs here before we can push really higher. And so take the EMA ribbon out again. I think this is mainly what we can look at. So I would personally expect, based on what we've seen here, a move down. But of course, we need to see what the market is telling us. Key level here in the very short term is that 295 level that I mentioned. I think below that, coming down to 265 is very likely. And then also a drop below $2.10. If we break above that descending trend line, that would be a breakout of a trend line. Always, potential breakout signal here, ideally with a retest. Then retesting that 350 level. If we get above that, next target 384 in the very short term, or 380, that wave one low. And if we go above that level and basically touch it, then we have that overlap between 1 and 4. And that would be actually rather a bullish signal. And then we only had basically 3 waves down here, which would then rather confirm something more bullish is going on, okay? And that we're already breaking out without that wave 5 down. We might have to count that a bit differently. And I think this is sort of my view of Luna 2 at the moment. Volume isn't really there. Maybe, don't really see the volume. It did spike here recently in the beginning of September. That has died down a little bit. So for me, that move down comes across as a corrective pattern at the moment. But I have all my eyes on the $2.11 level. Yeah, and if we lose that, it would be below the 78.6% FIB level. And this is an area where it's just getting more risky. Okay, and that's my update about Luna 2. Hope you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment, subscribe. And if you really like the content, please check out the channel membership. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye-bye.